Hi, Michael McLarney here. I'm the editor of Hardlines, Canada's weekly e-newsletter for the retail home improvement industry. And I want to talk to you about my visit to the Rona annual general meeting recently and some of the things that I noticed about that event and some of the takeaways I have from my meeting with the executives at Rona on that day. First of all, I got a chance finally to meet in person Robert Chevrier, the new executive chairman, and Robert Sawyer, the new CEO and president of the company, who has replaced Robert Dutton, who left back in the fall after a unsuccessful takeover bid by Lowe's for the Rona business. Now, one of the things that came through loud and clear for me was the change in direction that Rona is taking under this new management. They do have a strategic plan in place that was already up and running and gaining momentum during the transition of Mr. Dutton from the company under the aegis of Mr. Dominique Bois, who was the acting CEO at the time. And that was where they decided to downsize or get rid of some of their big box stores. The big boxes being, I think, about a third of their retail business at the best of times, and a great driver of volume for them from their warehouse, and very successful for the most part in the Quebec province, which is their home province. However, we've watched with interest and concern as some of those big box stores have struggled to stay profitable in other markets across the country. What we learned was that Rona is in fact going to hold on to those big boxes, and that was a very interesting news, news that garnered a lot of attention from everybody. The fact is that they're staying committed to building a strong Canadian company, as Robert Chevrier made clear, and the desire is to keep Rona in as many markets as it can, and to keep Rona in those markets with as many store formats as it needs. And that's something that Rona's always done, is enter a market with big boxes, small stores, or proximity stores, which they've been very busy developing of late, or some combination of those three. And so to see Rona say we're going to keep those big boxes was, I think, a good shot in the arm for the confidence in Rona that the investment community and the folks at large need to see. But of course the question is, how are they going to make those big boxes profitable in those markets where they have been struggling? And Robert Sawyer told me that the clues could be found perhaps in what they're doing with the Renault Depot business in Quebec, which is to take those stores and take them back to their big box roots, reduce SKU counts, keep inventories up, make sure that the core products and the core categories that the contractors and the heavy DIYers need to complete their projects are in stock all the time. And this is the direction we're seeing with the Renault Depot business. And though they haven't given full indication of what's going to go on with the big boxes outside of Quebec, look for some clues there. Now, the other thing that was very interesting was Robert Chevrier's comment when asked about the possibility of another takeover bid or getting Rona ready for another possible takeover by a Lowe's or some other company like that. He was adamant that this is not the time. The time now is to build Rona up again. And he made a point that he said, we could have sold in the short term 5 or 6 stores, but that's not our goal. Our goal is to make Rona, establish Rona as a great Canadian company, and establish that Rona can be a good investment from the standpoint of Bay Street for investors, and it doesn't have to be taken over by an American company to become a great investment. And I think that was a great message, and a very powerful one that kind of got lost in all the details about how Rona is actually going to accomplish that. But the fact is, Rona is a great Canadian company at its heart, and it's had some struggles and some stumbles along the way, as any company will. And to see Robert Chevrier get up and say, no, we're going to make this, we're going to prove to you that this is a great Canadian company, is a tremendous, I think a tremendous ambition, and one that all Canadians need to see succeed. And it would be good for the Canadian business, good for Canadian investors, good for Canadian suppliers, and ultimately good for Canadian dealers, especially the ones that are attached to the Rona banner, even those that aren't, that recognize there is an important need for a viable alternative to the narrowing number of banner choices in Canada. The ones that are there are very strong and very healthy, but we see those numbers narrow all the time, and it's important to see a Canadian company succeed. And on that note, I would extend to Mr. Chevrier the invitation to join us at the Hardlines conference on October 24th and share his vision of what a great Canadian company is and what a great Canadian company can be, and talk to us about what it is to be a great Canadian company. Mr. Chevrier, please join us. And I might add, that invitation goes to all of you in the Hardlines family and the Hardlines community. Remember, October 23rd and 24th is our annual conference, and we do have a great lineup of folks, and we hope that Mr. Chevrolet will be part of that lineup. Michael McLaurin signing off.